Let's talk about this article in the Miami Herald. And it was in the Orlando paper, too. And they had some things in Trayvon Martin's past that weren't so complimentary. Does that matter in this case?
I think it doesn't. I think that it's very disingenuous for it to be released at this time. Nobody is, in fact, talking about Mr. Zimmerman, who had his record expunged from assaulting and accosting a police officer in 2005. The reality is, when Mr. Trayvon Martin was walking down the street, George Zimmerman knew nothing about his record, nothing about him being suspended. And so Trayvon's mother is adamantly correct. This is just a campaign to besmirch his reputation.
Well, I will say we did bring up Zimmerman's past as well, and people like on the other side of this issue says it's only fair to know as much about Trayvon Martin as possible. Some people might suggest that the things in his past might paint him as a more aggressive person.
Well, the reality is he was not aggressive with a bag of Skittles and a bottle of Arizona iced tea. And the fact that George Zimmerman stalked him for 2 blocks, and now we're talking about 30 days later and there's still no arrest. The culpable activity is by the police officer who showed up on the scene and did not give George Zimmerman a test on alcohol level or traces of drugs. We're now outside of those boundaries. You can, in fact, deal with the body of a dead 17-year-old. But George Zimmerman, who's up walking around, nobody tested him for drugs or for alcohol, and we're outside of the window of evidence.
Okay, the other bit of information we have new this morning comes from George Zimmerman's friend. Martin Savage got this information for us, that he was intimating there was some struggle over the gun. What do you make of that?
I really question his character, that he's showing up 30 days later. If you were engaged in an altercation, if I was, and one of my friends witnessed it, and seemingly it looks like I'm getting ready to be defeated, why would I not intervene? For him to show up 30 days later and say he witnessed his friend and never intervened and never showed up until now, 30 days later, leaves a tremendous shroud of questioning. I pray that immediately justice will happen for Trayvon Martin's family and an arrest will happen for George Zimmerman imminently.
Well, you know, the neighbors had differing accounts of what happened that night, too. Do you think it's possible that we will know exactly what happened that night in Sanford?
It is my hope that it doesn't happen on CNN or in any media outlet. Let every person who saw all of the testimonies of these neighbors and friends, let them all testify in court, and let's watch it all on court TV. I think that George Zimmerman needs to be prosecuted. We have enough body of evidence with the 911 tapes, with a dead body, with his own admission, and the police department saying that he was there. I think at this point, we ought not have any more speculation or deliberation. We're having a trial before the trial. Let's just go to trial.